Look at this pile of gear. Thousands of dollars, years of hype, and a mountain of promises. Crowdfunding is a massive gamble. Sometimes you back a project that completely changes the open source community, and sometimes you basically just donate your hard-earned money to a scammer. Over the years, we have covered a ton of ambitious hardware on the channel, but what happens after the campaign ends and the hype dies down? Today, we're going to do a massive welfare check on every single Kickstarter project I've ever reviewed. We're looking at ultimate success stories that gave backers amazing, game-changing hardware all the way down to absolute train wrecks that took millions of dollars and left us with nothing. To see how we got here, let's go back to day one. Let's look at the tape. Now, the first device we're going to talk about, or the first Kickstarter we're going to talk about, is the Cyper Pro. This thing is absolutely infamous. Here we are over at the Kickstarter, and you can see that they actually were able to get $170,000 out of people. And that's kind of a lot of money. It's got the pre-order button sitting right there like we can still do something, but we'll get into that in just a second. Basically just like a rip-off Game Boy style device that was supposed to do a lot of the same things as the Flipper Zero, but they added Wi-Fi to it and a color screen, which was actually kind of cool for back then. Our video doesn't even work anymore. Okay, here's the video. So yeah, basically this little guy was the Cyper Pro. Turn the volume down. So as you can see, it has a lot of the same features as devices like the Flipper Zero, but it's got apparently a nicer screen, bigger device. It was pretty cool for back then, because again, this was 2 years ago. This is before all the other Kickstarters were kicking off. So people were really excited about it, and seeing it on the screen like that kind of made it look like they had a working prototype. However, this is probably one of the most notorious Kickstarter scams ever. If we go into the comments section, if they can even go in there, yeah, 3 days ago, everybody's saying the exact same stuff. Give me a refund, because again, it's been forever ago. They did not make anything. They stole all of this money, at least allegedly. So the entire thing was just a big giant rug pull. It was absolutely crazy. And if you go to click on pre-order, we get total antivirus ads. So their website's been taken over by some other corporation or whatever, and it just links to trash. So I always warn people, if you don't have the money to literally just set on fire, definitely don't put your money into Kickstarters, because things like this, unfortunately, can happen. Now, if we're going to go in chronological order of when I made my first video about it, the BLEShark Nano is actually the next Kickstarter, even though their Kickstarter launched a year after I made my first video. If we take a look at the video, I actually had a prototype of this thing. It was a little bit rough and 3D printed, but it was all pretty much the exact same as it is now, except they've added so much more content and so much more tech to it. I actually just made a video last week showing off the Shiver mesh network. Very cool. So let's take a look at their Kickstarter. As I had mentioned before, their Kickstarter ended, I think, a few months ago. As you can see, they had over 2,000 backers, and they managed to raise 144,000 Canadian dollars, which I think comes out to about 100,000 American dollars. It's a really cool project, and I know they're trying to fulfill orders. It's a big job fulfilling all of this stuff. A lot of production, a lot of logistics. So if we take a look at the Kickstarter here, this is the BLEShark Nano. The BLEShark Nano is a small portable device. It's got Bluetooth, it's got Wi-Fi. It's actually pretty cool. Plus, now if you have multiple units, they can all talk to each other and do a distributed kind of mesh network where you can tell one device to do one thing, one device to do another, all from the same device. It's very interesting. As you can see here, this Kickstarter is 100% legit, and they are shipping units out. So people who actually back this project are getting their products. So very much on the up and up. I have to say, for how early this project was when it hit my desk, I'm glad to see that they've gotten this far with it, because again, I had a 3D printed prototype, and this is a full-on, everything's working, it's got nice shells, they've got different colors, they did a great job on this project, and I really want to wish those guys all the best, because you made a great product, and your Kickstarter was absolutely not a scam. Great job, guys. Now, the next Kickstarter I covered was actually on something I ran into completely on my own and just thought was really cool. It was the Mecha Comet. It was basically a modular version of something kind of like a Hackberry Pi, which runs on a Raspberry Pi. It was a very, very cool product. Now, what made the Mecha Comet really cool is that it was modular. So you can, as you can see on here, it had different keyboards, different keypads, game pads, all sorts of different stuff. You could change screens, you could add cameras. It was fully modular, and that made it one of the coolest devices in my book, because you could do almost anything. They've got a little sentry going on. It's very, very cool. So of course I wanted to cover it, I wanted to talk about it. So where is it now? If we move on here, we can go to the Kickstarter, which is over here. You can see that they were actually able to raise 1.2 million USD to 3,300 backers, which is absolutely amazing. It looks like they're still working on it. Let's go to the comments section and see what they have to say. If there's anybody complaining, anybody saying things. So it says that the project is delayed and they want it to be a good tool. They're still replying to comments, which is very, very important. If they stop replying to comments, it's over. I gotta say, I'm not super surprised that this product took a little bit longer. They do look to have working prototypes, but again, logistics, production, all this stuff takes time, and it's often a lot more challenging than anybody thinks. I see all of these production timelines that they give on these Kickstarters, and they're all super, super short because they think they're able to just go from the Kickstarter to production in 2 months. Not gonna happen. So yeah, it looks like they're updating, everybody's talking about it, and it seems like we're still good to go. So if you go to their actual website, you can go to pre-order it. They still have their website working. And let's go to pre-order. Let's see what this goes to. And yeah, they actually have pre-order devices. Now, as long as they fulfill these pre-orders, which is exactly what we need them to do, it looks like this is completely on the up and up. It's a little bit too early to say because people aren't getting production units and it's still pre-order. But I do have a really good feeling about the Mecha Comet, and honestly, I really want one because I love cyberdecks. Big cyberdecks, small cyberdecks. Hey, yo! Anyway, I love cyberdecks, and this looks like it could be a really cool, modular, take it with you, great little project. So all in all, I would still give the Mecha Comet the thumbs up. Now, the next Kickstarter I want to get into, was a video I covered about a year ago, and this was the Interrupt by Disrupt. This was another Cyberdeck kind of Linux hacking tool, and it was all over the place. And one of the things I noticed about it was that they did so much marketing straight up without having anything really to show for it. And anytime a company spends more money on marketing than R&D, huge red flag to me. And in this video, I'm kind of tearing the entire thing apart. And, you know, there's a lot of red flags even from watching the Kickstarter. So if we go over to the actual Kickstarter, we've got right here, they were able to raise 586,000 US dollars, which is a huge amount of money. And they raised it from 2,800 backers. So 2,800 people gave these guys money. And as you can see on the screen, I'm pretty sure that's just kind of bad AI. Their video's not very good. They always have the same. I hate this. If you ever want to make some sort of a gadget or anything like that, and it has sub-gigahertz or it's got IR or whatever, don't show it opening a gate. I hate this. This is the stupidest thing. Yes, if it has a sub-gigahertz radio, it can open a garage door. That's how garage door openers work. It's not that cool. Stop showing it. I don't care. So yeah, it was looking to be a really small version of another Cyberdeck. It was kind of cool looking, I'll give them that much. And I want to say this ran off of, I mean, looking at the form factor and when this came out, this was probably a Raspberry Pi Zero, I think, in here, which makes it not super strong. The pricing was really, really, really low. Like $179, like $199 would put this at like a $300, $250 retail Cyberdeck. That's not a lot of money for what's inside of it. So another huge, huge red flag. And as I was mentioning before, they have their process timeline. So they always think the Kickstarter's here and they're going to have mass production within 6 months of Kickstarter. That's nuts. Everybody seems to do that. They really think that production's not going to take that long, but no. So let's see, where are they now? If we scroll up, because the comment section typically reveals all. And here we've got dead. What are the updates? After completing our review of the Interrupt project and evaluating the resources, timelines, and requirements necessary to move forward, we have determined that continued development is not in the best interest of the project. Dead. I call this basically from day one. It just kind of had too many red flags. It was too cheap. It didn't look real. All of it was bad. And again, if we go back to the comments section, we've got people actually forwarding this to the Attorney General in Florida because it looks like they're doing some things on here that may not have been super ethical. I know it's very challenging to issue refunds via Kickstarter because most of these projects, if you don't notice, they have really low goals. If you set a $5,000 goal, everything beyond $5,000, as long as you hit that goal, you get your money. So it's kind of looking really not great. So would I say the interrupt is a complete scam? I'm getting close. It's like an 8.7 on the scamometer, or whatever the scam meter is called. It's pretty high up there. Do I think that they were always trying to do this? Maybe not, but at the very least, the Disrupt team bit off a whole lot more than they could chew, and they thought they could just slap together some sort of really cool, very small device, given, I don't know if the hardware was supposed to be damn near free, but their price point was nowhere near. So the interrupt, big thumbs down. Now, the next Kickstarter is actually one of the first products that I received that I thought was almost production ready already, which was the Meow kit. This thing's actually pretty cool. It's another ESP32 based device. It's got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, you know, all the things that pretty much everything nowadays has. But this thing was pretty early, and they sent me one, and I had it in my hand, and this was the coolest thing. I made a video about it, and it showed off some of its features, but it was very buggy. It was very buggy. They had effectively two halves of the firmware, kind of the normal firmware that you're seeing here, and I should try to see if I can update it, because it was still kind of broken. And then there was a whole separate half that you could flash that was effectively an AI kind of system for it. I think it was an AI assistant. I'm not really sure exactly how it works, but let's take a look at the Kickstarter. So here's the Kickstarter, and they managed to raise almost $200,000 American, and they got about 1,400 backers, which isn't super good, but again, you can see they had a $6,000 goal, which is pretty low, which puts off some red flags, but I have a device in my hand, and it makes it a lot easier to promote a product and say you feel good about it when you're holding one. Now, if we scroll down here, we can see the backstory, and again, it was designed as a versatile device for makers. It has GPIO, it has a bunch of really cool features in it. They were trying to make it have like a retro TV, and again, you can see they had the AI chat MCP, and hacker protocols, all that good stuff, desktop gadgets. It had a retro TV, which I never got to work, but it was a cool idea. It was a cool idea. They had a lot of cool stuff in here, so I was really hoping for the best. So I was actually looking for their website, which I can't seem to find a website for, which is a little weird. But if we go over to updates, because updates is where you find your information, we have very promising. So this is June 23rd, 2026. They're shipping the Meow kits. It's awesome. And that's exactly how I got mine, in a box look just like that. The shipping was actually really good. I think they gave me a really chunky USB cable, and I mean, I don't know if that comes with it, don't quote me there, but it says they're moving closer to shipping, so that's awesome. I'm so glad the people that spent money on these things look like they're actually gonna get them. Very cool. Let's go to comments. Somebody tried to join the Discord server, and there's an old link. Let's see. Okay, 2 days ago, mentioned the files have been shipped. Backer, scam question mark, shipment has already begun, things are being sent out. So I want to say this looks like they're going to actually have these sent out. I talked personally with the Meow Kit devs and their team, and they all seem really on the up and up. I didn't feel like they were going to scam anybody. So I'm going to give this like an 8.5 out of the not scam range. I'm pretty positive this is good. So Meow Kits gets the thumbs up for now, as long as they ship out. But why would they make so many units, and why would they do all of that if they weren't going to actually ship units? And also remember, it makes way more sense for these companies to actually ship these units, because this is a Kickstarter. If they actually sell all those units, they can sell more units and sell more units, and people will tell their friends. There's no reason not to fulfill the Kickstarter unless you're inept or a scammer. Now, this next Kickstarter is actually really interesting. Of course, we're talking about the M1 by Monsta. Now, this was a very early Flipper clone. Again, they added an ESP32, so it had Wi-Fi. So it was right up there with the Cyper Pro. This one came out a little bit later, but it looked a little bit more realistic. This one had an OLED screen, so that makes a little bit more sense. So the entire project felt a little bit better. So let's check out the Kickstarter. So here we are. They managed to get $1.3 million, and they had 11,000 backers. This closed on June 26th of 20... Oh, that was the last update. There we go. So what's super interesting about... Well, let's keep going. I'll save it till the end, but this is an interesting project. So again, they were looking at super early bird was $89, early bird was $109. So you can see this had a very competitive price to it compared to the Flipper Zero, which at that time was selling for $179. I think it's going for $199 now. Remember, Flipper Zero was a Kickstarter. I think they got like $5 million. They did really well, but it took them a lot longer than they thought, and people were calling them scammers for a while. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt, because I know I called M1 by Monsta scammers, or at least I implied that they might be a few times, because, you know, they raised all this money and they kind of just disappeared. Well, this is interesting. So if we go to the updates, it's post for backers only. Whatever, I'm not a backer. If you go to comments then, they're talking about address changes and things like that. It took them forever, but guess what? They made one. I've actually got one, and I tested a few of them. How do you even turn this thing on? Anyway, my battery's dead, but it doesn't matter. Here's the interesting thing. They did make these, and they shipped them out, and I actually got these with a bunch of other developers to try to work on the firmware, because the main developers built the device, then they made some excuses and they gave some reasons as to why they can't make the firmware. So now they reached out to the community to write the firmware for them. And this thing's pretty broken right now. The NFC barely works and the firmware is really rough. Nothing really worked. So if you were lucky enough to get one of these, because they did ship out some of the early Kickstarter units, you got yourself a brick that does almost nothing, which is kind of sad almost, because it's got potential. Now, the community could come out and write some really good firmware for this, but, you know, even the Flipper Zero, they came out and they wanted people to do a community firmware for the Flipper 1, and they got a lot of backlash for it, because I don't want to have to build your product. If you send me a product and it's awesome, I might build upon it, but I don't want to do the building part of your entire product, because that's a you thing, not a me thing. So that's a really weird product. This is the M1 by Monsta. I'm going to give this like a 5 on the scam scale. I mean, I don't want to say it's a scam because I got one and other people legitimately got one, but it's not really a finished device, so I don't really know where that puts us. So I wouldn't buy one, tell you that much. PCBWay. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for all things PCB design, manufacture, CNC, sheet metal fabrication, and so much more. No matter what your project is, PCBWay has got engineers on staff that will help you every single step of the way. And don't miss out on their 12th anniversary celebration. They've even got blind boxes where you could win prizes. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, PCBWay, for your continued support. You guys are absolutely awesome. All right, let's get back at it. Now, the next Kickstarter is a really, really interesting one, and I'm talking about the Kode. Now, this thing is freaking cool. As we can see from the video down here, it was working, and it had bad USB, which is very useful, and it also had a really, really cool voice-activated AI, and you could hook up servos to it. You could do so many freaking cool things with the Kode. Now, if we hop over to their Kickstarter, you can see even more of the cool things. Now, I received a Kode and their full development kit and all the GPIO boards and some stepper motors and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I gotta tell you, I had an absolute blast with this product. I honestly really, really like this gadget, and you can actually still back the project if you want to. You can see that they got $3.3 million out of a $5,000 goal, and they had 16,000 backers. And I'm pretty positive this is all still perfectly on the up and up. And actually, I forgot, I've got an update on this one too. It's very cool. You can see it's effectively another small ESP32 based device. I wouldn't call this one a flipper clone because it's got a lot more stuff it can do. It does have GPIO pins on the top, and that looks like a CC1101 with a GPS. Maybe that's just an NRF because it's got 3 different antenna jacks, but that's definitely GPS. Very cool. And yeah, they've got backpacks for it. They have mesh for it, Maker robotics camera. It's so freaking cool. You can hook it up to breadboards. You can do all sorts of really fun stuff. I love this. It's based off of an ESP32S3, which is a pretty powerful ESP32. So it's a great product. So let's go to updates because, let's see, read more. They did this. Yes, they made a brand new board for it. Not only did they make this product to send me, but now they've updated the form factor and they've updated the product. So as long as they actually ship these out, which I honestly think they will, this is a cool project. Now, I followed them on LinkedIn, so I made a LinkedIn, don't ask me why, but they do seem to be doing work on this project, and I believe everybody's going to get theirs. Let's go to comments. And it looks like the comments are kind of mixed. Some people just don't like the form factor change out of it. I don't know. It's not really a big deal to me. I don't see that. And people are pointing out that, again, time frames change. It's very, very difficult for people to actually make these things on time because you make a timeline to try to make it sound like you've got things, figured out. But timelines, I've said this 5 times already, timelines are hard. But what I really liked about the project is, again, how well they did with a really small AI model and making it so you could just speak to it. You could have now this, I would never do this is a terrible idea, but you could have voice-activated, AI-generated bad USB scripts. Now, that sounds like a really good way to wipe your hard drive, so never do that, but it's a cool idea. The next Kickstarter we're going to look at was actually a project I really liked. This was the Highboy. So it had a cool story. Basically, there were devs out in Brazil that wanted Flipper Zeros, but they weren't able to get Flipper Zeros because they were banned in their country, at least the import was. So they set out to create their own Flipper Zero alternative. It was a really cool project. They spent a ton of time, and they've been keeping up with all of the community, kind of giving them updates and all sorts of cool stuff. If we hop on over to the Kickstarter over here, we can see that they raised $600,000 and they got 4,500 backers. Really good job on that. And yeah, it's basically just more than just a hacking tool, which is kind of what they all say. It is a ESP32 based device, but with the funding that they got, they actually added an ESP32 S3 and a C5, meaning it's dual band. So this one has dual band Wi-Fi, so you can touch the 5 gigahertz network. Finally. Now, this was a great kind of grassroots program coming from people inside the community making really cool projects. So if we go up to the updates, let's see what's here, and they've got more updates. So they're working on the PCBs. Now, this is a very small team, and I've talked to these guys before. Very small team. So they are making forward progress, and they actually told me that they are shipping me one of the prototypes that they have coming out because this product is actually gone really, really far. Before we move on, let's go to the comments. And yeah, I think they also started an Indiegogo campaign to try to raise more money for it because, I mean, $600,000, nothing to sneeze at, but it's not really that much money if you consider how much money it costs to produce these things. Injection molds cost a fortune. So if you go to their actual website, we've got some new information here because I think they actually updated the design itself. You can see here it has a different shape to it. I know these are AI generated, but they do have, production models. So they're working on these things very hard. And it looks like they're doing a lot of great work. Now, I do think that this device will ship, and I think it'll be pretty cool for anybody who gets one. Yeah, we're here over on Indiegogo, and they raised another $600,000. And they've got 4,700 more backers. So good for them. They've got a little bit more money, a little bit more runway. And once I get this product in my hand, I'll make an entire video on it because I've been waiting on this thing. I've been watching this thing for like a year, like even longer. I think 2 years. But very cool. So I'm going to give this, I don't know, I think it's like an 8.9 on the not scam scale. So hi boy, I think it's going to be a cool product. I might wait a little while till they're actually in production, full production, before ordering one yourself. And again, they've been keeping tabs and giving everybody information on this the whole time. So we've been kind of working on the project along with them, or at least it feels that way. Now, the next Kickstarter, I gotta say, I've got a bit of a soft spot for this. And of course, that means it's the Palm. Not Poom like Doom, it's Palm, even though it's spelled P-O-O-M. It's a really cool kind of single board style device that is not only a quote hacking device, it plays video games. It's got some really, really interesting features as far as motion tracking. It's a cool project, and the developers for this project were absolutely awesome. I talked to them for about an hour. They showed us the device. You can see, this was the actual call. They were such sweethearts. They were so cool to talk to. So let's hop on over to the Kickstarter, and we can see this is the Palm. They were able to raise $62,000 from 591 backers. It's not that much compared to a lot of the other ones out there, but they did spend all this money on marketing. They spent all the money making the device, which I absolutely admire. That's why when I first saw this and I talked to those guys, I wanted to make sure that I made a video about it and try to give them as much publicity as humanly possible because, again, I really, really like this device. So yeah, if you scroll down here, it's $100 for the early bird. Again, great price. Almost at the, wow, that's not really enough money. Super early, 80 bucks? I don't know. But it's a single board computer, so that means it's all PCB assembly, so it might not actually cost that much to make because it's just one board. It's not a bunch of stuff together with Raspberry Pis and yada, yada, yada. It's got 5 gigahertz, just like the rest of the new stuff. And yeah, again, it's got most of the things that you expect to see, but I love the fact that they made it into a game module as well, because who doesn't want a game module? Especially when you've got real controllers and it plays Ardu Boy, I want to say, games. So there's an entire library of games already made for it. So very, very cool. We scroll up and go to updates. We can see that they are now in manufacturing. Now, I did hear from them earlier because this was back in May, and yeah, they're going full scale. They said they're going to be sending me a device to test, so I'm very, very excited for that. As soon as all the devices that people say they're sending me will come in, we'll have videos and we'll make some cool stuff out of them. And let's go to comments. And yeah, everybody seems to be relatively happy with it. They're still talking about timing. We all know about timing, but yeah, they're working on stuff and they're moving forward. So I'm really, really happy to see that the Palm is trying to succeed, because I think this is a great device, and I do believe once these things are in full production, you can just go out and buy one. This is something you should probably buy, because the form factor, the features, it's just a cool device, and I kind of love it. Now, if there was an absolute must-buy out of any of these Kickstarter ones, this is it. This is the Cardputer Zero. I absolutely love the Cardputer, and this is the Cardputer's not really bigger, but much better older brother, bigger brother, whatever. I don't even know, but it's amazing. This is a full-on Linux computer hanging out in a credit card sized thing. It's nuts. This is running Raspberry by the other one, who's an amazing creator, and he makes such cool stuff. And right now, this is actually running the And Not Xer DEFCON 32 version of Doom, just because I love that on there. And the And Not Xer guys are absolutely awesome, but this is such a cool project. Now, I made a video on it not that long ago, and I made my own little cool animation for it. I had so much fun playing with this device. It's an absolute powerhouse. It has GPIO hats that can go on top, so you can add even more functionality to it. It's full-on Linux, so you can write Python, you can write whatever you want. It's amazing. I love this thing. If we head on over to the Kickstarter, you can see they raised, looks like 14 million Hong Kong dollars, which I want to say runs about 2 million USD, and it's an absolutely amazing product. They made some flex goals, so they have a transparent shell that they're going to be doing, and I think they even allowed anybody who ordered one to switch over to the transparent shell. I really want a transparent shell version, just saying. And I mean, the actual pricing on here, early bird was $70, normal one is $80, and then, yeah, I think they're shipping at about 150 USD for the better version, like the one that I have that has a camera on it. Now, it will also have IR. This is a pre-production model, so this one's missing some of the features, but it's got a lot of the same meat and potatoes to it, so a lot of the stuff is just going to work the same way. It's an amazing product. It is made by M5 Stack, and everything M5 Stack makes is just like, it's just next level. They're like the Hyperion of device creators. Now, I don't even think when they first started making products that they were even thinking about the hacking like community, but people like myself and other creators love their products, and especially the Cardputer Advanced and the Cardputer just perfect, and the normal Cardputer, that we used them all the time. People were making more and more hardware, more and more software, and yeah, it became just a huge product within the hacking community. Even till this day, anybody asking about what is my first device, I'll still say go out there and buy a Cardputer. I think they're still like $50 or even less. I think they're like $40. They're super cheap. They do a lot of cool stuff. There is a whole on M5 burner community where you can just easily install stuff. It could not be easier and more fun. I love the Cardputer, and M5 Stack makes amazing products. Again, they are just awesome. And let's go to updates. And yeah, they're just saying thank you for doing such a great job on Kickstarter. And one of the great things about this is that I know M5 Stack. These guys are absolutely bulletproof. I talk to people at M5 Stack all the time. And let's go into the comments, because I've done that for everybody else. And yeah, people are asking, when did we receive it? They're like, they haven't even gotten addresses yet. They gave a clear time frame, which said they'd probably be releasing them or shipping them around November, which honestly, because I got a working unit and it's just missing IR and some other stuff, I think they can completely do that. M5 Stack, they are not new to this. They're a very large company, and well, I don't know how large they are, but they're a company and they make a ton of stuff. So when they make a timeline, I actually kind of trust them to be good at it. So yeah, this is an absolutely amazing product. And when these things come out, I honestly think you should grab one of these too, because it takes everything good about the Cardputer and makes it better. The screen's bigger, it's got more processing power, and they didn't really make it much larger as a device. It's still got the advanced hats where you can add all sorts of cool stuff. And yeah, so they're going to be making more driver hats for it. They're going to be making all sorts of good stuff. On a 1 to 10 scale, it is a 1,500,000% amazing product. Grab it. And I'm not being paid by those guys. I just love M5 Stack. They're absolutely amazing. All right, that was every single Kickstarter I have ever covered on the channel, I think. I hope I didn't miss one. But that is every single one and where they're at now. We ranged the gamut from complete and total fraud to absolutely amazing products that are definitely coming out or are already in people's hands. Which product was your favorite? Which one pissed you off the most? Let me know in a comment down below. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You guys are absolutely awesome. We'll catch you next time.